Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, got to give all of the praises to the Most High and His Son,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Yahushai,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Rakakadash. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain this whole UFO thing, what Esau calls AUPs down here in the UK, on how they've deactivated the missiles around the military bases and all of that. So I just want to just get into that again because I'm not satisfied with how I've explained it last week. So here we have it. So begin with reading Revelation 7:1, and we're going to get the article.
This is Revelation chapter 7 from verse 1. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree.
Yeah. So what happened during that what happened during that time, it was around, I think he was explaining himself, and I beg to believe, if I can remember correctly, he said he saw the chariots around the year of 1967.
Yeah.
But the lieutenant, his last name is Salas. I forgot his first name. But anyway, what he was basically saying was he found out that the people above him, because he was in the underground base, 60-foot bunker, and the guards on top of him told him that this is what was going on, that they saw super bright red objects flying around in the sky or just hovering around that area. And what they did was they deactivated the missile. They deactivated the whole missiles. And there's another article too that I want to go into on how you have these chariots that are surrounding the military bases as well, and that's where they're at. And that ties right along with what the brother just read in Revelation the 7th chapter, because these angels, what they're doing is they're going to respond in terms of bringing forth their vows when the Lord allows them to. So let's read this again.
Revelation 7 from verse 1. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth.
Right, holding the 4 winds of the earth. So what are those 4 winds representing?
Destruction.
The destroying winds, pursuant to Jeremiah 51. So that's exactly what is being held back. The destroying wind, which is the nuclear destruction, as the brother put it. So that's why nothing's going on right now. And the reason why that is because the elect has to be sealed. And now we don't really know how close we are to the election being sealed, because you have 144,000, as explained in that same chapter. So we don't know how close we are, but we're probably dead at the door. Just by looking around the world and seeing all of the action. I mean, we talk about the protestings and we talk about seeing the signs and wonders, the inexplainable things that he still can't even explain. That's why he calls them UFOs, and now he's calling them UAPs. So we're seeing all of this stuff. We're seeing all of these signs and these so-called phenomenons and what's going on down here on this earth. And it's all letting us know, those that are awakened, that we're pretty much approaching the very end of this world. And that the elect simultaneously is just about being sealed. That number's about to be wholly sealed. Go on, brother.
Reading on. And it says, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree.
Right, and that the winds will not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, or any green tree, or green thing. So that's why that happened. That's why those angels, they held back the missiles. They deactivated the missiles. Because of, and also, there's another article that I have with me as well that I want the brother to bring out later on. It even explains that the same thing happened to the Russians too. Now, I try to find some info on that, but I really couldn't find some information on that. But obviously, they got the information. So I might as well just take their word for it. You know? So the angels are in charge. The powers that be are not in charge as they think they are, but the powers that be in the heavens are in charge. The invisible entities control the physical things that you see on this earth. Okay, and it all originates back to Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahushai. That's right. And that's the power of Israel, also known as too. So yeah, get into that article, brother.
Come on.
And it's equivalent to what happened during the time of the ancient world, during the time of Sodom and Gomorrah, when Abraham came before the Lord and he was saying to the Lord, okay, if there be certain amount of men in that city, if there be like 50 men and then it went down to 30 men, and then he went down to saying if there were 20 men. So you get the gist.
Yeah.
So the Lord said, I will spare the city. If there's any of those men that believe that are basically at the time they were the elect. All right. So obviously the Most High was playing with him because it was only about what 3 people that survived the brimstone, the destruction that came at Sodom and Gomorrah at the time. And the reason why I say 3, I could say 4 because Lot's wife escaped, but she turned back and she turned into a pillar of salt. So technically, she didn't really make it. So it was just Lot and his 2 daughters that survived the brimstone destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. So right now, going back to the point that we're dealing with, the elect has to be sealed, and the Lord is going to deliver us, and then those missiles are going to simultaneously come down and destroy this place.
Right? Shall I read the article?
Yeah.
Right. So it says, personnel, UFO deactivated nukes. It says, whatever the mysterious lights in the sky were, they seem to have an interest in our nukes. Mm-hmm. One of the more out-of-the-ordinary press conferences held in Washington this week consisted of former Air Force personnel testifying to the existence of UFOs and their ability to neutralize American and Russian nuclear missiles.
Go on.
UFO researcher Robert Hastings of Albuquerque, New Mexico, I believe, who organized the National Press Club briefing, said more than 120 former service members had told him they had seen unidentified flying objects.
Yeah, so they can't say, when he brought this information out, they couldn't say that he was crazy because he had 124 servants that actually witnessed the same thing. Mm-hmm. You see, so going all the way back to the point of the matter is this, man, like this is how you know that what we have, brothers, and a few sisters out there that are watching us, but more in particular the brothers, because we're the ones that's actually bringing out the truth. What we have is absolutely real.
That's right.
And as time progresses, we're seeing that, man. We're seeing that the prophecies of the Heavenly Father and just the Most High Himself, he's actually real. Because when we were in the world, we believed in the Most High, we believed in the higher power, but we didn't actually see evidences or we didn't experience his presence. So because we didn't experience his presence, we just thought light of the Most High. But now that we're in his presence and we're seeing his little bit of wonders and things of that nature, now we know how real it is. And even when you actually read these articles about certain things that occurred as well. So this thing is very real. This Bible is very real. And it just take a very few special men to break this Bible down. Because really the rest of these people out there that's claiming to be super religious, like these pastors, these different clergymen, they don't really know what they're talking about. They don't have the truth. We have the truth. The Lord is dealing with us. More in particular, the Great Millstone Camp. Now you have other brothers, and I'm always going to say this because I can't leave certain brothers out that are following us, Great Millstone, and that are teaching what we're teaching. The Lord's dealing with y'all too. But we got to take it all the way back to the top, beginning with the apostles. The Lord was dealing with them to bring this truth out, and now the Lord is dealing with us now. And there's only one truth, and we have that truth. We have 100% of it. Go on, brother.
Yeah, so continuing on, it says, more than 120 former service members had told to him they'd seen unidentified flying objects near nuclear weapons storage or testing grounds. Stars and Stripes quoted former Air Force Captain Robert Salas, who was at Maelstrom Air Force Base in Montana in 1967, when 10 ICMs he was overseeing suddenly became inoperative.
Yeah.
At the same time, base security informed him of a mysterious red glowing object in the sky.
Yeah, so as soon as those red objects they saw in the sky back in that time, all of a sudden, as the individual Paul Salas, I think his name was Paul Salas. Robert Salas, his name was. Because you have Robert Hastings and then you have him, Robert Salas. Mm-hmm. So Robert Salas, he was in the 60-foot bunker, I call it. And all of a sudden, when those red objects was surrounding the area, the bright red objects, as explained in the article, at the same time, the missiles were deactivated. They were stopped. So this is a power that we serve. We serve a power that literally controls all elements within this realm. That's the power that we serve, brothers. So Esau is only going to go so far with their agenda. They have their plans and they have their agendas and all of that stuff, but it's not going to go down the way they expect it to be, because the Lord is going to do A, B, and C on each and every side. He's going to work on the minds of these men to do certain things on the left-hand side, and he's going to work on the right-hand side of things as well as. So that's the ultimate reality at the end of the day. Go on, brother.
If I might add, if I may, this is very important, because I'm just reading this article now and I'm thinking the Most High ordained for this to happen in 1967, for these ICBMs to be taken offline.
Exactly.
And we're learning about it right now. This is 2021.
Yep.
And just hearing this boosts my faith that the Most High is real, because we know about the prophecies about the missiles and everything. Why would they just take the nukes offline for no reason?
Yeah.
This took place so that we now could learn about this and be like, yes, the Lord does have control over these nukes, and He is going to manifest His will and bring this thing to pass. So it's a real faith booster.
That's it.
So reading on, it says, Stars and Stripes quoted I read that part, yeah. Robert Jameson, a retired USAF nuclear missile targeting officer, told of several occasions having to go out and restart missiles that had been deactivated after UFOs were sighted nearby. Similar sightings at nuclear sites in the former Soviet Union and in Britain were related. CBS affiliate KSWT describes Britain's Roswell, a case of unidentified phenomena in December 1980, incident near 2 Royal Air Force bases in Suffolk, England. Several US Air Force personnel reported seeing strange metallic objects hovering in Rendlesham Forest near RAF Woodbridge, and found 3 depressions on the ground. Speaking at Monday's press briefing, retired USAF Colonel Charles Holt said that in December 1980, when he was deputy base commander at RAF Bentwaters, strange lights in the forest were investigated by 3 patrolmen. Holt said that they reported approaching a triangular craft approximately 3 meters on a side, dark metallic in appearance with strange markings.
And this just goes to show you that the chariots, as we all know, they all come in different shapes and forms. And Esau knows this too, because all throughout history they've encountered chariots that look like this, chariots that look like that. So it's all kinds of shapes. But the point that I want to gravitate back to is that the Lord is in control of what goes down here when it concerns this up and coming war. And things don't just happen at random, as we were taught to believe in this life, that everything just happens because, it's by the will of the man. No, it's not because it's the will of man. It's the will of the Heavenly Father, which He allows things to happen to men, or He allows men to do a certain thing. All right, as people say in the world, everything happens for a reason. Okay, so if you can, get me also Jeremiah 51 verse 1.
Khan.
So the Lord, He's the one giving the orders and the commands when to let loose those 4 winds, which is the destroying winds. Which we're going to get. Let's read this.
Right, Jeremiah 51 and the first verse. Thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me a destroying wind.
Yes, so the Lord is going to be the one that's going to initiate the destruction. You know? So, I mean, it's not going to be a matter if what happens to Russia, like right now. Yesterday I would say something happened between England and Russia. I have to go back and read the article. I kind of forgot. But, anything that happens on the news between Israel and Iran or Russia and America, nothing's really going to happen until the other prophecies are fulfilled, such as the hour of martial law, which is also known as Jacob's trouble, and the RFID micro, okay, which is as what we believe it to be, the mark of the beast. Other camps believe differently. That's up to them, but technically it ain't really up to, let me correct myself. It ain't up to them. It's one truth, and it's up to y'all, all the other camps out there, to get it correct and to understand and know and comprehend that it's the mark of the beast. Okay, the implantable device is the mark of the beast. Okay, go on, brother.
Right, so in Jeremiah 51 or back to the article?
No, 51.
Khan. So back in Jeremiah 51, Yeah, it says, verse 2, and I will send unto Babylon fanners, and they shall fan her, and shall empty her land.
Yeah.
For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about.
Right, and they shall be against her round about. So like I said, it's going to be the Lord that's going to make this happen. And this is going to be grand. This war, this Third World War is going to be grand. Okay? And that whole entire land that we know it as America is going to be totally resorting to a desert. And there's other precepts that talk about that. And then the Lord is going to add insult into injury, as I like to always say, on how he's going to bring forth lasers to strike the cities round about America as well. So that's the main place that will receive the destruction of the Almighty. In other words, indignation, which is righteous anger. That's what that place is set up for. And the chariots are very well in control, and they're going to respond when the Lord gives the commands to destroy that place. And other parts of the earth too, such as Great Britain. Great Britain has a lot of missiles aimed at it too. But the main destruction is going to take place on the shores of America due to what happened in the past in that area. In other words, what happened to the children of Israel, beginning with the so-called Native American Indians and the so-called Negro, which was taken from one place to another place, forced into slavery against their will. So all of that is going to be paid back.
Right, shall I continue reading Jeremiah 51?
What you can do, brother, get me the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter.
Can't.
Because remember what it says in the book of Joel. It says that the Lord has a controversy with Zion. And what is the controversy on what the nations have done? So the reason why you're going to have a world war, the Third World War, is because of what the nations have done unto us. And it explains that.
Right.
If you know what verse I'm talking about, brother.
Do you want me to jump straight to it or from the top?
Yeah, just jump right into it.
Alright, bear with me a second. Valley of Jehoshaphat, is that what you want?
Go up a couple of verses.
I'll just start from the top then.
Okay.
Because that's in the, yeah. Right, Joel 3:1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations, and I will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered amongst the nations and parted my land.
Yeah, because when you deal with the nations that were involved in the transatlantic slave trade, which is what we still talk about, we won't forget it, because it's why we're destroyed today as we are as a people. Now, we know that the Arabs were involved in that, and these other indigenous dark people in the land of Africa too, and also the so-called Jews. So these nations were very instrumental in bringing us down as we are yet this very moment in time, forcing us into slavery against our will, and millions of us died being transported from West Africa to the Americas, and then the ones of us which was down here in the UK that were conquered, we were also taken as slaves too. So all of that has to be paid back. As James Brown made a song called the Big Payback. So the big payback is coming. And it's going to be us enslaving them. It's going to be us oppressing them. But before that happens, what we're talking to you about right now, when the chariots come back, and also the missiles, when the missiles hit these places, in the midst of the Lord coming back as well, I have to include that too. That's when this place is going to be taken out, and we're going to rule the world. The saints shall take the kingdom and possess it forever and ever. That's as well as we will possess the people that have possessed us. Go on, brother.
Reading on, it says, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink.
And that's exactly what happened in slavery. We was being transported from one place to another place. Like they would sell wine. They would give wine. The Europeans, they would give wine to those that were responsible, to those Hamites that were shipping us away, that were selling our people in those ships. And as time progressed, I have to go back and recap on the history. But what happened was they were selling them some bullshit wine. The wine became diluted to water. So that's what they were selling us for. They were selling us for wine. And then they got us and transported us from, you know what, the new world. Go on, brother.
Verse 4. Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine.
Yeah.
Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
It says, because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly, pleasant things, because you have, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye may remove them far from their
And
border.
that's what they did. They removed us far away from our land, because the Lord gives every nation a portion of land and inheritance. So they took, not only did they just take the land, but they took our inheritance as well. Because they make you think that when they grabbed us up and put us as slaves, we didn't have shit. No, we had shit. You know, we had a society of our own. We were rich. You had a man such as Mansa Musa, which he was, this dude was wealthy. This dude was, I believe he was worth 400 to 450 billion at the time. So he was rich in West Africa, as well as we were rich in Europe. So what did Esau do? Esau not only just take us as slaves, but he also stole the gold and the silver that we had too. Even the native Indians too, they were rich. They were abundantly rich, as well as the Puerto Ricans. That's why they call Puerto Rico
Port of riches.
Right, which means Puerto Riches. And even the Mexicans too. So all of the tribes, a little before when Esau came on the scene, officially around, I would say around the 1500s. Before then, we was living good. We was doing very well. I mean, like I said, we had empires of our own, and we was ridden with all manner of resources that makes a nation rich. But Esau took all of that, and as well as took us as slaves as well. Now we don't have anything, and now we have to depend on this devil for the one of all things. That's the reality that we got to deal with today. But we're not going to always remain in this situation, though. Something is about to take place, and that change is going to be us getting our shit back, and as well as we're going to get them as slaves too. Go on, brother.
Reading on, verse 7. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither you have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own heads.
Come on.
And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hands of the children of Judah.
Yeah.
And they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off, for Yahweh hath spoken it.
Yeah, that's those taskmasters we're going to have. And those Hamites are going to be very well watching the rest of the slaves that we have on our shores. Go on.
Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears.
Come on.
Let the weak say, I am strong.
You're going.
And it says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh.
Come on.
And let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about.
Come on. And that's why, as he explains it, Joel, that's why he calls it the valley of Jehoshaphat. In other words, this particular war is going to spring up from the Middle East. And that's why those angels are in the Gulf of Euphrates. That's why in the Gulf of Euphrates, as it says in the book of Revelation 16, it says that it talks about how the Euphrates rivers was dried up so that the kings of the east that they might be prepared. So that's where it's all going to stir up from, and then it's going to proliferate worldwide, this world war, basically. So let's keep going.
Right, so reading on, it says, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great.
Go on.
Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision.
Go on.
The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining.
But is there the verse where it says the Lord has a controversy with Zion, right?
I believe there is. I think I already read that.
Yeah, go back and read it again.
Khan. Let me just find it. Bear with me.
Because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, man. The reason why you're going to have this war and these nations are going to blow themselves to smithereens is because of what they did to us.
Wow.
And every last one of them knew who we were. because he was scattered in their land and he was under them being oppressed. Like, for example, you have the Dalits, which the Dalits, you would think, oh, they're just a bunch of group of Alamites. No, they're our people.
Yeah.
When you do the research, they actually descend from us, because the ones of us that were transported to the Western Hemisphere, the Atlantic, you had the ones of us that were also transported to the East as well. And we were slaves for the people in the Middle East. So those people in India, they originate from those that descend from the slaves, which were transported from the East, the Israelites. So they're Israelites, basically, suffering the same curses, but I would say more worse, because they're just getting beat down each and every step of the way. I mean, like, you got Elamites that can come from any part of that area and go down to where those dollars are at and smack them upside the head, push them around, beat them with sticks. Oh man, they're being heavily oppressed down there, and they're being picked on heavily as well.
Yep. The scripture
Go on,
you
brother.
called for is in Isaiah 34 and verse 8. It says, For the day of Yahweh's vengeance, and a year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion.
There you go. So that's why all of this hoopla is going to take place. That's why the Lord, as you just read in Joel, the 3rd chapter, he's gathering all of these nations up, and he's stirring their minds. For what? Stirring their minds and preparing them to blow each other up, to decimate one another. And more in particular, the land of America. So much so that land is going to become nothing. It's going to be a whole desert. And you better believe when that happens, as well as what happened during, I believe it was World War II, Esau found out that there were chariots flying around the warplanes that were fighting during the time of World War II. So I beg to believe, probably around that time, when those nations get up and going and they start flying their jet fighter planes, and they start blowing each other up, the chariots are going to be around it. And that would probably have to make sense, because the Lord is going to come in that same exact time.
Yep.
Going on.
Back in Jeremiah or Joel? So back in Isaiah or Joel?
Back in Isaiah.
Khan. So yeah, reading on again. Isaiah 34 from verse 8 going on down. For it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance, and a year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion.
Khan.
And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch.
Right, and the lash thereof shall become a burning pitch. And it says in the book of Revelations, no, not the book of Revelations, I believe it's also in Isaiah 13. It talks about how the smoke of that city was above and beyond until a long period of time. I'm roughly paraphrasing.
The next verse goes into that too. Shall I read it?
You're going.
Right, Isaiah 34 and 10, it says, And it shall not be quenched day nor night.
Okay.
The smoke thereof shall go up forever.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. And the smoke thereof shall go far from ever and ever. So even when the kingdom is set up, we're still going to see the smoke coming from America, because America was what? Ridden and decimated with missiles. And because of the wickedness that it brought forth. Go on.
It says, And it shall not be quenched day nor night. The smoke thereof shall go up forever from generation to generation.
Man.
It shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever.
Right. So that land is going to be monumental towards all of us put together, as well as these other nations, to remember that place, which was known as Old Daughter of Babylon, which was a great city. And the reason why that place got destroyed is because of the magnitude of wickedness that place pretty much spread forth all around the world, as well as Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, if you look at Sodom and Gomorrah, even yet today is still spoken of. The Lord made a prime example out of Sodom and Gomorrah. So the second Sodom and Gomorrah, he will make an example of as well. But this time, according to the book of Revelations, I believe it's the 11th chapter, the Sodom that we're being influenced by is also known as Sodom and Egypt. So this particular Sodom that we're under or influenced by will be totally decimated, and the smoke will be gone forth forever and ever, so that we can be mindful of that place, on how wicked that place was.
If I may add something,
You're going up.
Esau is really smart, because he won't ever promote Sodom and Gomorrah on the mainstream TV. You know, you can go on YouTube, you can look it up, you can study, you can see the earth has still got a very high content. Is it sulfur in it?
Sulfur,
Yeah.
sulfur,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you actually have to seek that out. It's not going to come out on TV and say, this is what happened and the Lord destroyed this place. Because he wants you to forget. But in the kingdom, when Esau's in the pits, everybody's going to know this is why he was destroyed. There's going to be no hiding it.
Yeah.
We're going to know that this place was the utmost of wickedness.
Yeah.
And it's going to be an everlasting memorial, as the elder read, the smoke going up. We're going to know this place was the place that, you know, was the most wicked on all the earth.
Yeah, because if I could just add, the statue of Lot's wife is still there as a monument.
Yes.
For us to remember too, because I remember done quite a while last year sometime a video on that. Yeah, so the Most High wants us to remember that, man. That's symbolic for us to remember that, how he feels about it.
God.
This would be a completely different kingdom if people were mindful of that. They'd be like, no. Because if you look at this LGBTQ stuff now,
Send them the other article I sent you.
it's like it. If you look at the way the world is now with this whole LGBTQ pride thing, you think that these guys are winning. Like they're doing what they're doing and there's no recompense for their wickedness. But as the elder said, the Most High is just holding back them destroying rins until the elect are sealed. So don't think that they're getting away with it or they're going to go unpunished. Because the scriptures say the wicked shall not go unpunished.
And remember, the Lord is building the case upon Esau. He's letting Esau, like it says, that man of sin be revealed. And it only will, what is it? He will only do until he be what, taken out of the way?
Yep.
So the Lord is using this man so that his sins can reach onto heaven to do his thing, right? And once that point, once Esau reaches to their highest point of their sin, then the Lord is going to smack them out of power.
Yep.
As well as.
Right when he's about to fill his belly.
Exactly. There you go, brother.
So, do you want me to finish this first article and read the second, or?
Yeah, what you could do next, Baba Kushan, if you can get me Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1.
Come on. I remember the flow now, from what we were teaching on.
Con, you got it. Con. Yeah, begin at reading verse 1.
Con.
Skip to verse 3.
Okay, right.
Con.
So, yeah, this is the one that they say at every funeral. Ecclesiastes 3 from verse 1. To everything there is a season and a time, to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted.
Yeah, and the Lord is going to pluck up this world, this civilization. He's the one that planted it. He's the one that gave Esau the power. So damn it, he's going to take the power from Esau and get rid of his entire empire. As it says in the book of Revelations, the 12th chapter, talking about the war of heaven. And in a verse that I can remember, it says something to the effect that there was no place found of him in heaven. So in other words, his entire system was totally decimated when they was fighting the Lord, as it explains the war of heaven. You got it, right?
Yeah, got it, yeah.
Go on, brother.
It says, Revelation 13 and 8, so it's like 13 and 7. And there was war in heaven, Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought against his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven.
Right, and neither was their place, thank you, brother, neither was their place found any more on earth. Because there's different states on this earth. You have a hellish condition and you also have a heavenly estate. Now, if you look at how the so-called white people are living, including the so-called Jews, they're in more of a heavenly estate. This is their heaven. This is their world. So they're going to lose their world, and we're going to get our world. And our world is going to be heavenly unto us. And they're going to be a base, as well as we're a base in their world. So let's read that one more time.